Behind the Counter is sponsored by
Hover.com. Domain names made simple. Go to gfq.hover.com and get 10% off your entire purchase. And by Stitcher Radio. Listen on the go via the Stitcher mobile app. For more information, go to stitcher.com/GFQ.
Hello and welcome everybody to another incredible episode of Behind the Counter. I'm your host, Rich Stambolin, and with me as always is the world's greatest dancer, Jonathan Adler.
I have a good dancer.
You are. I was thinking about this the other day.
Hey! No offense to the Spanish people out there. It seems like it's so much busier over here.
It is.
It's like I look like I'm looking through like a really crappy version of a stage production from the opposite end. It's just like crappy metal trees just everywhere. If only the viewers can see it through my eyes.
I feel like I'm also in a hostage video because I have
a newspaper in my in my bag if you want to do proof of life.
What people don't know is I'm surrounded by 80 cameras but through two of them work.
A lot of cameras. There's a lot of new monitors. Andrew is hooked up to a spinal column suspended from the air.
It's the Matrix. If anybody ever wondered where the internet comes from, it's from Andrew's house.
Yep. In Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, these plane tickets are a pain in the tuchus.
Oh man, every Thursday
we take the red eye to Abu Dhabi.
We have to leave and go back to our home in Los Angeles.
Customs, man. Our beautiful palatial estates, which are right next to two towers.
This weekend I'm spending it in Vermont.
That's it.
my home in Vermont.
Next week we'll be being broadcast live from Qatar.
Oh, Gush Katif. We're going to
Did you say Gaza?
Gaza. Going right to the Gaza Strip.
I think we're the last thing they want to see on the Gaza Strip.
What the hell?
Oh, the comic book guys. These are the guys that talk about DC all the time and how it stinks, right?
But guess what, Gaza? Or more the same.
Oh, they did it. You guys need catchphrases.
Rustle my jimmies. Who rustled my jimmies? I want that to be my catchphrase.
Stop the bus.
Stop the bus.
So what is
it's
up?
It's smoldering time.
Yeah.
Nothing much, man.
Yeah.
It feels like we haven't been here in a long time.
No, I always think I have not gotten over the fact that it's not Friday. It's not Friday anymore.
It still feels really weird.
Yeah.
It feels like the week should be over. And
you want to go back?
No. Let me tell you. When I get out of work on Friday afternoon, like that radio is on a full blast all the way home. I go through every single red light just to get home on Friday afternoon.
What? When you had the show?
No. Like now we're on Thursdays. I'm like, I don't got anything to do now.
I'm just gonna run red lights. I break every law possible.
I did such an a-hole move the other day.
What's that?
We were coming back from a restaurant, and on Francis Lewis Boulevard, there's a series of lights. It's like the triple stop light, right? So I thought I had the green, and I slowly move, and then like some guy, like he had the light, and he's like coming like slowly towards me, and I'm honking my horn. Like, hey, what's this guy doing over here? And then I realized that I'm like, oh, I'm the a-hole.
Oh, I'm the asshole.
Like, I'm the guy.
Sorry, guys.
And I just totally just like honked at this dude for no reason and like gave him the fist and everything. And my fiance's in the car and she's just like, that's on you, buddy.
You're the guy.
I was the guy.
You were the dude.
So if you're a fan and you're watching, I'm sorry, dude.
If you're that guy also, I apologize as well. On behalf of Rich.
Thanks, John. Hit me.
News. We got comic book news. Interesting week. I'll kind of build up to stuff. You got some good news coming your way. Morbius #1 coming soon.
Sweet. Who's the creative team?
I don't remember because I'm very prepared. But it looks cool. It's coming out of the Fan Expo this week. We're leading up to Main Spider-Man #700, which is supposed to be really awesome. And they slept that there's a Morbius #1 coming out from Joe Keatinge and Rich Ellison, two people who we have never heard of.
Sounds so
I'm
made
sure
up.
It's going to be great. But he's got the red collar. You know, he's not in the goth outfit, so
cool.
sure we're very happy about that.
Very cool.
The Spider-Man number 700 cover is incredibly awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen this thing?
No.
I'm gonna flip my computer, which I don't do often. But look at that badass.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
The collage of different Spideys and Venoms and bad stuff happening to Spider-Man in white in the middle of his eye.
The center of his eye, is it Gwen Stacy's neck being snapped?
Yeah, it's like everything that's ever bad, and also just Captain America's black and white head in the middle for some reason.
For good measure, soldier.
What else we got? Judge Winnick. Judge Winnick did a settlement this week saying that DC sucks. Said that he's leaving Batwing, which I totally forgot he was writing Batwing. Yeah. And left DC Comics completely. Wow. Another one bites the dust.
Wow.
They also announced that they are creating a new Justice League team with Jeff Johns and David Finch. Mm-hmm. We don't know what the title's going to be. It's going to be sometime next year. Really weird team of Martian Manhunter, Green Arrow, Catwoman, Hawkman, the new Muslim Green Lantern, Baz the Lantern, Steve Trevor, favorite of Rich's, the Latino vibe.
Yeah, great.
And am I missing one? Stargirl.
Great.
Who hasn't been in this continuity at all? It doesn't really make sense since there's no freaking JSA anymore.
That comic should be called Justice League with a question mark after it.
But you know what? I'm more excited about this than I am the regular Justice League. We'll talk about that later on, but yeah. I the fact that you have Martian Manhunter on a JLA team, I don't know. I'm kind of partial. It's Steve Trevor now for some reason. But Catwoman?
Yeah.
I mean, Hawkman makes sense, but he sucks nowadays.
Yeah.
What else I got for you? Oh, this is the big news. Oh, Eric Larson left Supreme because he's like, I don't got time for this crap anymore.
He's coming back. What do I got about it?
And also, we had a big blowout between Rob Liefeld and Scott Snyder.
Do tell. I missed that completely because like I tried to brush up before I came here. It must have just.
It happened over the weekend. Like there was nothing going on except for this. It was like Saturday to Sunday. I know you have busy weekends and I don't. What happened is that Rob Liefeld tweeted, "It's not you. It's never been. It's Batman." Now, immediately people started saying like, "Okay, he meant to direct message somebody," and it actually came out on his, and it's true.
This moron don't know how to use the Twitter.
Pretty much. So what he did was to make like he's been doing this the whole time. He showed the entire conversation he was having in private with Scott Snyder.
Wow.
So what basically he was doing was he was going back and forth with Scott Snyder privately, saying how Scott Snyder is a pretentious asshole because he believes that the sales of Batman are so high now because of the work that Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo are doing. A pretty valid point. And Rob Liefeld was arguing that no dick, it's because it's Batman. Batman is the highest selling character out there. So
it's not you, it's Batman.
Basically it's not you, it never has been, it's Batman.
All right, buddy.
So Scott Snyder, came out defending himself and kind of like, he was very good about the way they handled it. He was, a very nice guy about it. He the fact that he put this out in the open. I mean, this is obviously, and this is right after Rob Liefeld walked out on DC. He very publicly left DC and said like, bring it on. Like, all the fallout's going to happen. And it didn't happen. There was no fallout until he decided to create his own with this.
I got to make the mushroom cloud.
Yeah. He said that Scott Snyder said, I can show you Batman doesn't sell the way that it does because it's Batman. It sells that way because of me and Greg. And then Rob Liefeld responded, get over yourself, you pretentious prick.
Wow.
He really said that.
Yeah. No, this is a direct quote from his Twitter feed. And what's awesome too is that DC has a little Twitter feed on the side. So during that entire day, it was just filled with Scott Snyder and Rob Liefeld's battle between each other.
Rap battle.
And Scott Snyder was like, been berated in direct messages. Oh, no, excuse me. Rob Liefeld, been berated by direct messages by Scott Snyder this morning. Excuse me if I don't marvel at your amazing abilities to write Batman. Piss off. I like to think that if you're going to wave your ego around on Batman, you remember all that came before you. Holy crap. Average Batman book sells 80,000. Enough said.
Jesus. Wow.
So this just kept on going. This went on all day long, and then other people got in, and Dan Dio just said, like, someone asked him later on during the Fan Expo in Canada if if he regrets hiring Rob Liefeld at this point. He's like, no, he's a very passionate human being.
Okay.
But someone asked him about Stephanie Brown, because it's this huge Stephanie Brown thing with Spoiler. For those who don't know, Stephanie Brown was Spoiler, and then she became what they call Robin for a very short amount of time.
Yes.
Then became Batgirl. To a lot of the Birds of Prey community was very much attached to this. So they're writing her on to the Smallville stuff now. And she's Nightwing in that.
Okay.
In a world there's no real Batman yet. So he was livid. That should have never happened.
Didio or like
Didio.
Okay.
He was like, this should have never happened. Okay. Never happened. There's no Batman. This is a very short-lived character. There's a very small amount of community that embraces this. But Rob Liefeld, good guy. Good guy.
It's so weird. But you can also say the guy who gets drunk at the bar every night is really passionate.
Yeah.
It's also weird that Rob Liefeld didn't get the memo that Scott Snyder is going to be Jeff Johns in 5 years.
Oh, I think he's already that guy.
Yeah.
Like there's already talks that they're making a new Superman book just for him, and I forgot who the other dude was. That they're probably doing like a Man of Steel, to coincide with the movie.
Good,
because he's dying to do a Superman book, but he doesn't want to sacrifice his work on Batman for it.
Good.
Can one of you move your phone? It's buzzing.
Yeah.
AT&T?
Yeah.
No?
I got AT&T.
I don't know who it is. Someone of you.
You mean
Somebody.
buzzing like a phone or
like
like a phone
interference? Call? No interference.
Okay.
Maybe it's me.
Your phone buzzing? So Rob Liefeld, he went on. He says my sales went up on those books. Because Scott Snyder was attacking him. He's like, I'll give you credit, Rob. Batman might sell in spite of me and Greg Capullo, as you say, but Deathstroke and Hawkman failed because of you. Credit where it's due, brother, and that's all I'll say on that. Comics. And Rob responds, my sales went up on those books. Sorry, bud. All right. And Scott replied, LOL. Which it always annoys me. You're a respected writer. Don't do that. I respect his cool in this thing, but don't do LOL. LOL, and you can put that in your pouch and keep it for later. And Rob Liefeld writes, 1 word, haunt. 2 words, Swamp Thing. Not all creations equal.
What does that
Batman is the
mean?
#1 selling character in the history of the biz. Period. End of story. Will endure beyond creator careers.
All right.
And then posted screenshots of the whole thing. Psychopath.
What a maniac.
And it's funny too because there was a lot of, when he left DC, a lot of people were kind of commenting how I was like, what, Rob is one of those guys that just doesn't get involved in like the dirty dealings. He's a really cool, level-headed dude.
Yeah.
This dude is blowing cocaine up his nose and writing Hawkman. Being Venom.
You think he's trying to be like old school Rob Liefeld again? Mm-hmm. Where like it was kind of like subdued a little bit.
I think so.
And then because you'd always hear those convention stories of like, Joe, I just tried to talk to Rob Liefeld. That guy's a jerk.
Yeah.
Is that true about him? He's a jerk.
Apparently, Dan Fraga has PTSD from the hell he endured while working under Rob Liefeld.
You're kidding me.
There's a lot of the guys that worked in like Extreme and all those dudes were just like really hated the existence that they had under Rob Liefeld. They don't work anymore. If you see like almost all the people like Stephen Platt, Dan Fraga, Merritt Michaels, a lot of these dudes, I can't even remember these guys' names, that came up during like, in Prophet Brigade, all those like Supreme and stuff like that. They're not around anymore.
Yeah.
And if they're around, they just do like a cover and they're just like kind of messed up.
So browbeaten by Rob Liefeld.
There was a Dan Fraga storyline I think we talked about on air at one point where he was really messed up about how he was like pretty much physically and mentally tortured by Rob Liefeld.
Physically tortured?
Yeah. They attach nipple clamps to him and a copy of Supreme number 25.
Cool boy. Oh boy. Well, best of luck to you, Rob.
I'm sure he's going to go. I think a big part of this is him going back to Image to handle his, how well his books are doing now. Like
they're doing fantastic.
Well, I mean, Prophet, we enjoy and like,
It has nothing to do with Prophet though.
Yeah, but I think he's gonna have something to do with Prophet now. Those books can't exist without me.
Bring back Crypt.
Oh, give it 2 weeks.
Crypt's coming
Crypt
back.
will be back.
I would love to have Liefeld on the show.
Oh, me too.
Just like in person. Come
on there, bro. We'll treat you real nice.
Yeah, we probably would.
We would. We're gentlemen in person.
I want to hear stories. I want to hear.
I want to hear horror stories.
Yeah, I want to hear stories from his perspective, and just like we can do like a This Is Your Life, and I'm sure we can probably scour like people that we've known or people that we've heard that have like these convention horror stories about Rob Liefeld, and just get like that closure. Like, back in 2003 when they did the first New York con, I walked up to you and said, "Hey, can you sign my copy of Prophet Number 1?" And you told me that it looks like I don't know. I lost it. I was gonna go.
Why do you think he's so difficult? Like creatively, he's difficult. Or?
I think he was a really young dude who was told he was incredibly awesome in an early
and it just
age,
went to him,
and it just it ballooned from there. The dude was a Gap model in his first year of being a. Was it Gap or was it like
Calvin Klein?
Calvin Klein.
Oh, he was a model.
He was like a bugle boy, but he got the job because he was. I think it was Dockers, or something like that. A bugle boy, jeans. Jordache. Where he got the job because he was like the cool upcoming, dude. And I think it really went to his head. I think he blew a lot of rails up his nose. He got a fortune when he came over to Image.
Mm-hmm.
His ego inflated over that because he was doing what he wanted to do.
At Image.
He did exactly what he wanted to do, which was nonsense. and he made millions of dollars off of it. Yeah. And that was it. I mean, and then he did more nonsense for the rest of his career. Like, he's been doing nonsense, successfully for his entire career.
True.
He disappeared for 5 years, and then Deadpool started getting big. And what'd be funny? If we have Rob Liefeld doing the Deadpool covers, ironically, and then somehow he started working in the company.
Yeah.
Like, he's just...
I think the most amazing part is that he made millions at Image.
They all made a lot of money, man.
I just want to ask him if Jim Valentino was really an ape man.
Yes, that is true.
He is an ape man.
That is true. I saw this may be the last Liefeld bit we talk about. I saw from the Toronto Comic Con the cosplay, and there was I think he was like a dwarf for a kid, and he was wearing a Deadpool costume, and he had a little word balloon over his head that was attached to his costume that said, "No, this is not a Rob Liefeld drawing mistake. I'm really this short."
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. Do you have messed up feet?
It was like they did no hands or feet. Just it was just a picture of this little dude in the
half man, half pool.
Listen, if anybody knows Rob Liefeld and get him on this program, get him on this program.
He also lives in Los Angeles with us.
Yeah,
a block away from us.
Are two very palatial estates. They're the most beautiful houses you'll ever see in your life.
It looks like the like a scene from the Miami version of GTA. One of those condos they have. It's our house.
John's TV is so big that I can watch it from my living room.
it basically looks like my bedroom looks like a scene from THX 1138. Get that, guy.
Don't even.
Good reference. I like that one.
Don't even ask us about our pool.
His room looks like a scene from Gattaca. when Jude Law crawls into a furnace.
A lot of future technology in our rooms. Mm-hmm. My lobby looks like my lobby looks like the entire setting of Logan's Run.
My foyer looks like a scene, the last scene of In the Mouth of Madness.
Good.
Yeah,
foyer. Excuse me.
Very surprised.
Yeah,
and we both dress like Zardoz.
Yeah. Zardoz gives you guns.
I wish I had.
Why have they not remade Zardoz yet?
And nobody could pull that outfit off.
Oh man! But just the general idea of a floating head shooting out AK-47s and people wearing the mask. Guys, Google Zardoz right now and have a blast.
Yeah, Zardoz cosplay. If anybody has great
awesome
Zardoz
movie.
Stuff,
John Borman directed that movie.
And the big Connery, man. You can't beat that. Yes. That house is all incredible.
Shut down.
So that's astonishing to me, the whole Rob Liefeld thing.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
That will get buried away.
It's funny because we've been talking about the dude for the past 3 weeks, and last week we actually did say you know what, good for him. This is a guy who plays ball, and DC was apparently too much for him. And then he's just you know what, man, I feel that urge again. I'm gonna go after somebody.
Be a maniac.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's not right after he left, Judd Winnick left, and he said he can't deal with the time constraints.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people coming out and actually defending the fact that it's never editorial to blame. Editorial is really behind it. The editorial's never really messed up a storyline. Right. And I don't know if that's true. I think that's exactly what editorial will tell you.
Let's see. Since this week's comics weren't that fantastic,
they were good books, but it was just kind of
middle of the road a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll say let's.
I'll read Powers tonight.
It was awesome. That is the book of the week.
But you know what? I've really said that Powers has been very good. It's just that it's never out.
Yeah.
And this is the end of a story arc. That's why.
Which leads into like the next thing. But I will say, for me personally, Powers was the book of the week because it's been good. It's been consistent. But this is the first issue that I've read in the new run that I was like, I put it down and I was like, yo, this is good again. This is good. And
Powers was a dynamite book for a very long period of time.
A lot of good reveals in it. A lot of really cool stuff. Like a lot of awesome action. Like it was long too. They really kicked it up. But let's just do the DC thing now and then go into whatever.
Let's talk about the. Well, did you read I just want as a side note before we go into like the crappy DC.
Yeah.
Did you read Flash Annual?
I did not.
Awesome book.
Yeah.
That was a solid book.
Okay.
I was really looking forward to Green Lantern Annual. And I don't know. It was all right.
It started out really strong and ended on a really weird note. I really enjoyed the whole, like, we have to find the first lantern.
That stuff was cool. That stuff was really cool.
Yeah.
There's like a reveal that there's this first lantern, and it's this like guy who just freaking out inside of a giant like jellyfish lantern.
His lantern looks like the movie Lantern.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And there's like all these guardians, these like the good guardians that are not psychopaths, and Hal Jordan and Sinestro die. Black Hand's now a weapon of the Green Lanterns, the Guardians, and they made Mongoloid, Venom monsters. Everything's like these Venom monsters.
Yeah, it's that was the most disappointing thing of the issue for me because like the build up for the Third Army has been going on for a while, and like you see the Guardians in the Green Lantern universe basically going like, this is what we have to do. This is what we have to do. This stuff didn't work out. We're gonna find the last lantern and we're gonna build our Third Army. And then when they build the Third Army, it's a bunch of like the guys who look like Caliban.
And they're essentially manhunters for the most part. It's another more mindless monster. They rip their hearts out. They take over your bodies, and your eyes remain.
They keep your eyes, but they're dead inside.
What I mean, I feel like we've seen this story 1,000 times over with Green Lantern.
I want there to be a nice reveal for the first lantern.
Yeah, they do keep them secret. They keep them in the shadows. For some reason, in my heart of hearts, it's going to be Abin Sur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it. If it can't be, but for some reason, I just feel like it's going to be.
Never know with this new DC universe.
It's true. It is a new universe.
It could be anybody. I mean, like it could be somebody like just from way back when. Could be a Golden Age Alan Scott from the regular universe.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be a really, really great review.
And he had the old costume.
Yeah, that would be really cool. That I would enjoy that.
Yeah,
I don't think it's gonna happen.
But it looked like in the silhouettes, it looked like he had like that segmented armor,
like the Third Army.
Yeah, no, like how like the Justice League has like you can see like the plates. It looked like in a few panels he had like you couldn't see his face at all, and he was just yelling like a maniac. But it looked like he had like the plates like around his body.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure if they designed him recently, he has those plates.
But I really enjoy the dynamic between Sinestro and Hal Jordan, which is really cool, and how they both like he's like my ring. Hal Jordan's ring was created by Sinestro's ring. And they were really low on energy, and I like that bit where he was like, "Let's just try to smash rings and see what happens." And then they brought the power battery out and got recharged, and took care of Black Hand and all that. It could have been wrapped up a little sooner. I really think they should have put a little more thought in what the Third Army looks like.
Yeah, I think it was just very plain and very middle of the road for the most part.
I would have liked giant guardians. Just like big blue dudes.
I got excited when they showed that they actually make them from their own flesh.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's going to look cool. But then I remember I saw a solicitation that they actually showed these dudes before, and it's just like big, white, shapeless weirdos.
That was just like a weird thing, especially for, it's a weird gripe to have, especially since like, in my experience, annuals kind of get tossed to the side, where it's like, but this actually mattered. This was like a big story leading up to like a bigger story, and they have like the solicits for it with like the different parts of it, and then the debut of Baz, the new Green Lantern.
That should be the next issue, I think.
Who apparently is Arab American, so he's still from the States, like every other Green Lantern.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole nother world out there.
No, not according to them.
Just like in if you go to any of these other planets, there's always just one large race on one planet.
Yeah,
that's it.
On one
culture,
mass.
One culture. Yep. Yeah, one land mass. It's like, it was the biggest place in the world, and there's just like a bunch of blue dudes in a lantern floating around.
Yeah, It's weird. DC's weird. What else was really good this week, man? I really dug. I may be blinded by it a little bit. Wolverine and the X-Men was awesome because it was so long.
Yes,
it was really thick.
It was. Yeah, it was
jam packed, and you had a lot of stuff to go on. You had the first thing that pops into my head is the relationship between Iceman and Kitty now.
Yeah, a little weird about the book was it seemed almost like an aftermath of the Avengers versus X-Men stuff.
Yeah,
because Iceman was on the other team. I guess at this point everyone has left.
Yeah,
Cyclops is a psychopath, and just like, what? Sorry, dudes.
Mm-hmm.
You had the graduation of weirdo Archangel. Brew is really being awesome. That book is just really cool. I was talking about that today, about how the genius of Jason Aaron, with our friend Bobby, about how Jason Aaron said with his mission statement of taking over Wolverine that he was tired of working on the past with Wolverine. You need to start working in the now. And he's done so much for the character, development of him, bringing him as a headmaster, which you would never think of, for Wolverine, where like Jeff Loeb is constantly, digging into the past and rewriting the past and retconning the past, and it's not necessary. Where that book is just like, you have a great supporting cast, and it's almost all new characters. Kid Gladiator, the Warbird, Brew,
Inky or whatever her name is. I always forget her name.
Yeah, with the fire and ice.
Who's the thing for Brew?
For Brew, like the Toad dynamic, the Husk dynamic. It's really a lot of unused stuff and stuff they're just kind of building on. It's just like, and it feels as close as it can to like the Riot Xavier's type Grant Morrison X-Men run, which is like when it really focused on the school.
Yeah. It's a really bang up book, and like every issue is really good. Like there was a couple that I feel like filler issues within the Avengers versus X-Men thing, but this was just like a really solid issue, and you have like cool little things, and like I love the way Aaron writes. I have no problem with his dialogue for any character, and I love Brew. I want to see more Brew, who could be like the new fan favorite, like a dupe.
Oh yeah.
But I really enjoyed the bit where Tony Stark, like, he solves like the problem in like the lab with like Hank and everybody, and then he's like, who is this kid? Like, you want a job? You want an unpaid internship?
What do you want?
You come, work for me. And he's like, well, my favorite superhero is Nova. Can I meet this guy? And Tony Stark's like, listen, now he's my friend, and by default, he's your friend now too. And
oh, cool.
That is cool. And then like the Kid Gladiator stuff where he gets taken.
He's awesome.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be something big with him, obviously, foreshadowing. And the stuff with Quentin Quire was really good, too.
Yeah.
With Professor X saying, like, listen, like, you don't have to do this anymore. You can be, like, you can be an X-Man. You can be, like, the best X-Man ever. And then telepathically tells everybody in the school, like, I endorse Quentin Quire for president of student council.
Yeah, you don't need to be, the rebel, maniac in the school anymore.
Yeah.
Very good book, man.
Yeah.
Solid book.
Uncanny X-Force too. Uncanny X-Force was really good this week.
Rocking.
Yeah. I really like the brutal road trip story.
And the crazy thing with the weird Kid Apocalypse stuff is just like, he's an awesome character.
Yeah, great character. You think they're gonna turn him?
Mm-hmm.
It's frightening when that's that one bit when he looks in the mirror and he sees like James Earl Jones Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like staring back at him.
Yeah, grown up Apocalypse is a really scary, fleshy dude.
Yeah,
looks like Idi Amin.
Gross, the hideous man. And the whole book again, like if people, you don't pick up Uncanny X-Force, is arguably the best team book on the shelf right now. But this issue, it's Daken and Sabretooth and the Shadow King kidnapping Kid Apocalypse in a van, taking him into Kansas.
Yeah, and
Sabretooth saying like, listen, we want you to turn into Apocalypse. Like, we know what you have in you, and I'm just gonna keep killing people until you kill me.
And he does stretchy arms.
And really, so like he almost like kills Sabretooth, he almost kills Daken, and they just go on a murder spree, and then they show him like the farm where he was quote unquote raised, and then everybody's dead.
Superman, Clark Kent.
Yeah, and the whole thing with Phantom X plays into that, and then
we're still bleeding to death.
Yeah,
in the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants wall.
So he's gonna come back at some point, I think. And I like that whole like the dynamic between Daken and Sabretooth is really awesome.
Yeah.
That writes itself because they're both just like hideous mercenaries and like,
in the
murderers.
extended family of Wolverine.
And the extended family of Wolverine and Shadow King too. He hasn't been around for a very long time.
I love me some Shadow King.
Yeah.
Especially this Shadow King, the big, like the fez and like the little tiny glasses and just can barely walk and just terribly powerful.
And just like totally mind bombing.
Bomb mines.
Yeah. Kid Apocalypse. Great book, man. Like the X-Men universe is getting so cohesive.
Yeah, and the fact that this is only the beginning of the stuff before Avengers versus X-Men wraps up and kind of puts those two universes together. It's really a lot of fun.
I think that's next week, right? Next week is number 11.
Yeah, and then October is 12.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a bit for.
And God is 7.
What what other books that you want to talk about, or you want to go into the?
Let's go into the Slam Fest.
All right, so if you're a new fan, we've been really like trying to kind of not be super snarky or down on the DC thing, but it's really hard not to because as an adult who has at least a decent grasp of my own intelligence, I find it really hard to like the relaunch, and it's 1 year in. This week you had Justice League number 12, which was the first book of the new DC 52. I don't know what story, I don't know what purpose that the Justice League books have anymore because it's dumb.
Yeah.
It's straight up just like, this is mind-numbing drivel. And it's from Jeff Johns and Jim Lee. And, say what you want about Jim Lee, but Jeff Johns, man, come on, dude.
You can do better than this.
Yeah.
You know what's weird, too, is that they did this whole relaunch to embrace new readers, to bring new people in. Yeah. And, they do the same thing where they kind of like leak stuff out to the media and say, like the big thing in this book was that Superman and Wonder Woman hook up. Who cares?
Yeah.
You think that they would take a turn and actually do big moments, like some shocking stuff, like they had the Alan Scott gay thing, which no one cares about at this point.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of this? Like they have sucked the life and the interest level for any cat. I don't know anyone who is just embracing this 52 thing. I think a lot of people who are very hardcore DC, they like the book, like certain books. Like we like, Batman, we like Green Lantern, we like, Flash. There is some, bright gems in this.
Yeah.
I really like All Star Western. But I think a lot of the hardcore DC guys are just really just kind of waiting and seeing that, like, oh, they got a plan for all this.
Yeah.
Their plan is eventually they're going to realize this is not working, and they're going to have to, start over again.
Yeah.
Or bring it back to the, to whatever form they had before.
Yeah.
Because the problem is that they're constantly doing these number ones. They did the brand new number ones. Now we're hitting like a full 12 issues, and now they did number 0. The number 0s are selling like hotcakes.
Yeah.
The pre-orders on that are, I don't know if they're selling the stands, but the orders that are coming in for them are massive because it's a new one.
Let me ask: do you think it hurts them when they constantly do these number ones over and over and over again?
I don't know if it really,
like it means nothing to the number system after a point.
It does degrade the aspect of a number one.
Like, get reintegrated at some point because that's like something that they did before. But
look at this: Detective and Action were both Detective Comics and Action Comics were both very close to another milestone before they wrapped it up. So automatically, as soon as they launch these number ones, I'm like, all right, they're gonna revert to the old numbering scheme once they get to that point.
Right.
It's inevitable. There's no way you don't have a comic book that can reach 1,000.
I mean, they did that in the 90s, big time. I mean, they had that big number one, the X-Men number one, and it really meant nothing.
Yeah. But the thing with this is not just the numbering system, it's just the starting over. It's going back to that well over and over again. And usually when you start something over, you encourage new and fresh ideas. This is like a whitewashed, very boring milquetoast DC.
Yeah.
Without any of the history. And, because that's what DC always had going for it. It had a very rich history. No matter how many times they rebooted it, there was always some...
You were tied to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had the different eras and everything, and just having, I don't know, just like having this version of Justice League and all the stuff's going on, it's just it's going nowhere.
It really is. It really. Now, how would you, if you had to write the story?
I'm going to steal yours.
Yeah?
Yeah, Alex Luthor.
That was actually not mine this time around. How would you write them out of this hole at this point to bring back a semblance of old continuity, or just like what, like how would you just make it better and make the fans say like, you know what, I like this. It has the history. It has the right, like, never mind the writing and the art, but I'm saying like what story would it be?
I mean, logistically, I would just follow up how they got here. I mean, start with Professor Zoom. I would finish it off and do like another Crisis.
Okay.
And very quickly remove Wildstorm from this universe altogether.
Yes.
It would have to involve something with I would just, that's my way my brain's thinking, is that that's the only way out of this thing, is that if you are going to say there's some master plan to this, that you would kind of come full circle, because even in the way Flashpoint ended, Professor Zoom wasn't defeated at all. He just kind of like, I'm a douche, and I just,
I'm forgetting.
Yeah, and just rewrote, the universe.
Yeah.
I would do something to that effect, or I'd have like, I would go old school and have original old school Earth 2 Superman like bust a hole through this universe.
I'm back.
Yeah, like I can't forget about me.
Yeah, he's still out there somewhere. No, he's dead. He's dead.
How would you do it?
He's dead. It's kind of it's half written in my head, but what I would do is I would have this universe keep going and then lead up to the Crisis, and the Crisis would be that you have 5 dudes, right, who are regular civilians who are starting to remember who they are, right? You have a Clark Kent, you have your Arthur, you have your Hal Jordan, Batman is the only one that there's no Bruce Wayne. So Batman becomes the key for it, right? Because he's the smart one, right? And one of the reveals is that Batman knew the entire time.
That's actually a good idea. Because he is the dude that plots and remembers and
keeps it to himself.
Yeah.
And then you have just kind of like these guys finding Batman and then saying like, look, like, like I don't know why I have these weird memories, but I remember being in like this awesome, red and blue suit with underwears, and like Aquaman saying like whatever, like they're all, and they have no powers, they're completely depowered, they're just like regular dudes, and Batman's like, you know what, like I'm a regular dude, and like we need to do this together, and it just turns out to be like this big universe rewriting thing where like the new DC ends up just fading away, and they get replaced by it's essentially the scene in Superman 3 where good Clark Kent chokes out bad Clark Kent over and over again until the universe gets reestablished. And of course you need a villain, which I will steal from you and say you need a Professor Zoom and Alex Luthor showing up just ready to smash an Earth into an Earth, and definitely take out the Wildstorm stuff. But bring it back to basics. Yeah,
I've said 1,000 times over. Why would you really limit a universe?
Yeah,
because that's what you're essentially doing. You didn't add anything to it by creating this, adding the Wildstorm in there. Like, you really did the exact opposite.
Yeah.
By adding a whole nother universe to it and taking away an entire past, doesn't work.
Yeah.
I would love for them to do like a Bob Newhart thing, where just have like Julie Schwartz wake up and he goes, it was all a mistake.
Oh, that's awesome.
But you should get excited about comics, especially where we work in 6-issue arcs and everything. You've had the Flash has defied that the last 12 issues. They've had one nice long storyline and had like 1-issue, 2-issue blocks and kind of reestablishing the universe. Read the Flash annual; it's really awesome.
Yeah.
It's a good payoff for all of this. I read all the issue 12s of the DC stuff.
Yeah,
and you think that'd be the big moment, like kind of like where you kind of bring it all together. And every single one of them was a really terrible cliffhanger.
Yeah. Aquaman, not Aquaman.
Aquaman. I read Aquaman. Did you read Aquaman?
I did.
I was like, you know what? Finally, the storyline's gonna be over.
Yeah.
Nope. Come back in 2 months.
Same thing with Swamp Thing and Animal Man. That was what I was gonna say.
I'm behind on that.
But they operate. But see, that's the thing. Like that, those 2 books operate. They might as well be Vertigo books.
Yeah.
Because they operate so far outside the realm of the only time Superman showed up in the first issue, Swamp Thing, and that's it.
Yeah, that's right.
They operate so far outside it, and like not even that's the other thing, or like just incorporate like the Flash, incorporate the old history, and just like I would have preferred it if everybody woke up and it was different, but like you just went to different costumes,
yeah,
or like different designs or whatever,
like what aside from sales, what do you really gain from doing this type of this type of writing?
Yeah.
I don't feel like anyone's got on there that really has a crucial storyline. Like I'm a big fan of Demon Knights. I think Demon Knights is a really fun read. It does one of the few things that actually does that DC doesn't have. It builds on a long history.
Yeah.
Saying that in Arthurian times the Camelot is like the beginnings of the Justice League for the most part.
Right.
And that's fun stuff. Just like how there's no JSA, there's no Silver Age or anything. So this big like dark age between the unforeseen Camelot era, wherever the hell that happened, and then we have 2005 is when they first have our superheroes.
Yeah.
But the costumes, these like futuristic segmented costumes, it still blows my mind that they all went to the same tailor and got these things put out together. I really don't like the way that Batman's written in Justice League.
Yeah.
He is this dude that just puts his hand on everyone's shoulders like, hey, we're regular dudes. Relax.
Gotta do this.
You gotta do this.
It's
Wonder Woman is very inconsistent.
Bland.
How it's very consistent too, because in Wonder Woman's book, she's written tremendously well. There's a lot of depth to the character.
Which could fit into regular quote unquote DC continuity.
Absolutely. But the way they write her, they first introduce her, she's a psychopath, kind of a ditzy girl, and then she's a raging maniac, and then she's like, I don't know where I am in this world.
Yeah.
Steve Trevor. And just like it's really just kind of bring her back to like a
Trevor.
It just seems like a guy doesn't know how to write a woman. Which could be a big part of Jeff Johns' problem, because
it's true.
He doesn't write women very well, except for Stargirl, because she has no sexual organs.
That is true. It's an easy fix if you do it right. I would throw it in my own little crisis. One, Batman foresaw this whole thing when he was coming back from the past with being poisoned by the Omega beams. They gave him like future sight or whatever. Two, I would have Zoom be the villain, but the reveal with Zoom is that it's actually Wally from the.
Oh, that'd be great. And that's why Wally's not around here.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. I would. You know what? I would love to see Wally West as Professor Zoom.
Yeah,
that would be such a kick in the ass to like what they've done to the Flash universe. And I like what they've done with the Flash universe for the most part, except for Bart and the lack of Wally.
Yeah,
Wally was my Flash growing up.
Same here.
That was the only Flash I knew. Barry was a legend. He was a guy who was not in the books when I was reading it.
He was the jerk who was
the bad guy.
My brain's a banana in this issue.
I'm an ape.
Yeah.
That's the stuff I'm used to. But I don't see from I guess from a writing aspect. I think because both of us are writers, we both like the creative aspect of it. That we don't see the need for something like this. Aside from sales, yes, you are making more money.
Yeah,
you definitely saw a spike in it. Flashpoint did nothing for you. Come on, guys.
Maybe this is the big plan, that it's like we're gonna make a ton of money and then put out the good stuff.
The good stuff. I really don't see that happening, because there is a constant thing where they're saying like there is a plan, and usually people who say that are people who are about to blow their brains out.
Yeah, no, that's the plan. That's the ultimate plan.
That's the Hitler plan.
The final solution. That's what it is.
They gotta lock themselves in the bunker and they're gonna blow their brains out.
It really is. It would be like such an easy fix if you had a great crisis story that just kind of made everything regular again and got rid of the bad and kept the good, and just like they were conscious of like what really gets me. I'm gonna interrupt myself here.
Or rustle my jimmies.
What really gets me is that in that last issue of Justice League, that Arthur turns around. I think it was Arthur who turns around and he's like, "It's been 5 years," and you're in your head, you're kind of like, "This isn't the only book I'm reading. I'm reading the other books." And in the Batman universe, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's been so much going on.
In the Green Lantern universe, that's ridiculous.
Impossible.
It's all just like it's been 5 years, dude. And he's like,
it's impossible, dude. Especially I think that's it's a good part for us that because we still are reading the same. Like in Batman universe and the Green Lantern universe, we're pretty much reading the same book that we were reading before, for the most part, like the same type of universe. But when you think about all these restarts, how is it possible that we had everything happen to Batman and Green Lantern in 5 years?
And nothing happened to anybody else.
Nothing.
Because there's no, that's the thing, because Superman continuity was loose at best, and it's completely written out. Like, no.
Barbara Gordon.
Barbara Gordon.
Barbara Gordon got she got shot in the first year she was around,
and then got better.
And got better within 3-4 years.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
And like the Aquaman stuff, maybe okay, but they don't go in. There's no touching on it.
Aquaman went to so he came about. He found these relics.
Mm-hmm.
He created another Justice League after he went with the regular Justice League.
Right.
The other team of really crappy dudes with gold stuff.
Stink.
They do. Killed Black Manta's father. Black Manta the second comes around, and that Russian guy Vostok was on the moon for like God knows how long.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like 5 years.
No, it doesn't.
I think maybe because we're thinking in real time and not in superhero time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of stuff has happened to Spider-Man, and he's consistently, been high school and through college.
Yeah.
A doctorate, has.
He's got a job now.
Yeah, he's been, within the course of like, 30, what is it? How many?
50 years.
50 years, and it's probably in my mind, 10 years, 8 years.
Yeah, he's like late 20s, early 30s at this point.
I cannot even think that he's not 30 years old.
Yeah, he's got to be 30, 31 maybe, because he's got the career now.
Yeah, he's got a job. Like,
yeah.
If he does not, if there's no way. It will blow my mind if he's not 30 years old. If they say like they turn around, and he says like he's 25 years old. I have to reevaluate my life so hard.
I want my Jeff Johns, Grant Morrison, George Perez crisis book.
It's not happening.
I know.
Morrison's gone.
Mm-hmm.
We're about to like walk out the door. Perez says, "Hell no, I'm not working for you guys again." And while this is still happening, Jeff Johns is just like he's contractually obligated and he's making a crap ton of money.
Yeah.
I mean, he is one of the big guys behind all this stuff. It doesn't look like it from what he's writing.
No.
It looks like his passion is strictly going to the Green Lantern book.
He's one of the creators.
Yeah.
Meet the creators.
Yeah. Not the architects.
Yeah. It's
the architects of the other company.
Yeah. I don't know, man. And we rag on DC every week, and this is exactly why, because you're not getting what you want out of it. You're not getting what you want out of the company, and we're fans, and we keep giving them money. And I want and this is the first time I would say in my comic book reading career where I would always argue back and forth with people who were like, I don't read mainstream comics. And this is a fine example of why people educated fans would leave mainstream comics.
Well, look at the competition now. You have great stuff coming through Image. Mm-hmm. I think Valiant is killing it. We haven't talked about any of the Valiant stuff out here. Valiant is awesome right now. Avatar is consistently putting out great books.
DW gives you Dynamite gives you your weird books.
Yeah, there's a lot of good options out there, and a lot of Boom Studios. Boom. And it was a shocking thing. Also, I kind of realized too. Every week when Wednesday rolls around, I take a look at the comic book list, and I remember being excited about that big blob of DC and Marvel.
Yeah,
and that would dominate the shelves. And now it's just like DC is something I just kind of like. Did Batman come out this week? Did Green Lantern come out this week? Or Flash come out this week? Otherwise, I'm just kind of like skimming through it. Yeah. And if something falls into my pile, that's an all-star Western or Demon Knights. It's a bonus for me, but it's not. None of this stuff really draws me in. Like the only book I'm consistently like going crazy for in DC is Batman.
Mm-hmm. Which is really ironic because before the relaunch, and I'm sure a lot of fans suffered through the same exact thing that you're going through, myself included. Before the relaunch, you could say the same thing about DC. Like none of this stuff grabs me.
None.
Because it was at the end of like that curve, and then it took off. Like you were kind of excited about the relaunch, and then it's right back where it started. They're not losing money anymore.
No,
they're
it's a shame.
doing awesome.
Yeah, and no, it's an even bigger shame of all this too is that DC doesn't have the the creative powerhouse behind them anymore. Like they have like a few big names, and that's about it. It's a lot of young, hungry people, and unfortunately, if this is an editorial based company, they're getting their names dragged through the mud because people who we've never heard of that are on a book that are writing absolute editorial based garbage. I'm not getting excited for when they come over to Marvel or come over to Image and launch their own story. It's because if you want to go mainstream at this point, you probably are better off going to Marvel. Yeah. Like that Morbius book with the guy we never heard of. I'm sure he's gonna do wonderfully.
He probably is, man. It's probably gonna be good.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be like a Rick Remender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna there's a lot of there's a good amount of filtering in Marvel. I think DC's filtered a little too much. And I me personally, from what it looks like, it just seems like corporate isn't giving these guys the opportunity to shine. you know.
Yeah, and do you think corporate has any interest in like a Hawkman or Dollman and Phantom Lady?
I think that corporate is interested in the money.
Yeah.
And that's it. And they're just like, listen, contracts, boom, corporation, boom. Like, you're signed, this is your deal. You work within these guidelines, and that's it. If you don't like it, you can leave.
And like what's crazy is if you're really concerned about that money, why have that much filler on the shelves? Like, who is this? It's weirdly ironic that you don't have incredible books all across the line. You think this would with Disney taking over Marvel, that they would go through more of a corporate restructuring, and you saw the exact opposite. You got more liberal, more creator based editor in chief with Axel Alonso coming aboard, and you have the Dio kind of maintaining the same role that he's had before, which is just like a puppet between him and Warner Brothers. Yeah. If that's the case. Because at one point, the Dio was awesome when he was spearheading, Identity Crisis and all that stuff. There was a real amazing,
real hands-on.
Yeah. You had Manhunter come out at that time.
Oh man, I was just gonna say, man, bring Manhunter back.
Yeah, Bloodhound.
Bloodhound.
There was good stuff. There was good chances.
One more thing, I guess before we go, because we're running out of time, is that DC. I feel like me personally, and this is gonna be the nail in the coffin. For the conversation, I guess, is that they dropped the ball because there's no war going on anymore. There's no, let's be better than those guys. Let's write 52 amazing books and put them out each month, and everybody's going to want to buy these books because they're great.
No, we can just release new number ones and just constantly just draw people in by sales.
They're cranking out just slop. I was like, for a lot of the DC books are not good.
You are basically making a whole series of the stuff that you used to buy at Toys R Us, like 10 comics for $1.
Yeah.
And like a package that had like Superman, Batman, the rest was all Legion of Superheroes. Not the Slam Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah. If anybody's out there, maybe we're missing it. Maybe in this case we don't know. We couldn't see that Bruce Willis was actually dead the entire time. And if we're missing a detail, and somebody could tie it together, just feel free to tell us on the Facebook page or whatever. That's it, right, Andrew?
You guys are great. I enjoyed it.
Okay, thanks.
This dude was basically creating the new future behind us.
Is the Matrix done, Andrew?
97%. We're having a little problem.
Would you believe my jimmies aren't rustled yet?
Get off the bus. Stop the bus. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining in. I'm Rich Stambolian.
I'm confused.